Hi, I'm Dana again. This is the part 2 of the video about embodiments and identity. Now, I want to get a little bit more into depth about this embodiment and the information that I recently discovered, because what I spoke about in the previous video is just a general introduction. Much of it I said before. Now, the information I discovered in my own spiritual fighting recently is literally that this embodiment which they create with darkness, these individuals from 3D working in convents and all sorts of spirituality organization and so on, how they create this, basically it was much more clear to me. They do certain rituals, and in my own journaling, I wrote in Akashic Records many of the rituals they create in order to create, and there are a lot of people doing this. Many times there are many different convents working in parallel in different countries, international networks of convents, worshipping the same type of spirits and working with the same type of darkness and instruments and so on. And they create, basically, this is how I seen it and felt it, literally. They create a voodoo doll, yeah? They create a voodoo doll of energy, literally. So, which then they place upon you, binding it to your energy body through different chakras. So, for example, they do trauma bonding on your heart chakra with a certain trauma they create on you, which is created through the same instruments of that embodiment, how they trapped the spirit of that embodiment identity, yeah, and they bind that to you, literally. But this is a very laborious work of multiple individuals, multiple convents, many times depending on who you are and what power you have and what divine rights they need to steal from you. There are many other countries involved doing the same. Not only this, convents have networks, international networks, and they sell contracts of these embodiments. So they have a book of knowledge, they call it. They have a book in which, like, you go to a theater and they have certain plays and have the role play of different individuals. And you go, you apply, and they give you the role, yeah? This is exactly how it works for them. They have books with certain role plays, which are these embodiments, which have a poltergeist spirit attached to it. And they sell these contracts among themselves, and they implement the same type of bondage, the same type of embodiment on you, meaning by binding this voodoo doll of energy to you, they want to force you to become that individual, literally. Why? In order to trap you, because that individual whose poltergeist spirit now is trapped, they own it, and they want you to become one of those spirits. That means you're going to lose your soul. That means you're going to enter a cycle of darkness in which you keep reincarnating into whatever identity they want you. They sell this for money and for different other rewards that they require, yeah? And you have in multiple countries the same type of embodiment. I did 2 spiritual journeys in multiple countries, both in Europe and in Latin America, and I discovered identical identities, bondages in different countries, people that never met each other. Anyhow, so, and they have different convents which work only for this, to create certain, so they have specialties and they create certain type of bondages. For example, I said in a previous video which I made years ago, I said this about Epstein network, that this, we look at it as like these crazy people who just are just a prostitution network, trafficking, human trafficking, but it's literally, it's much more than this, because this is ritual practice which they want to create, through which they create these bondages. They create strings between those individuals who are being harmed by them and trafficked by them, and they force them into different rituals, and they create strings between them and you through bondages, through embodiments, yeah, and a ritual which they do with those individuals ends up harming you, who are in a totally different country, only by these fake embodiments which they place on you, this voodoo doll of energy which they place on you. Yeah, so this is very important, and this applies also, by the way, because now it's a different topic, to the Diddy network in United States, in Los Angeles, Miami, and New York. Epstein and Diddy are two different networks which have been working together at two different levels, practicing two different type of rituals. Why? Because each of them is supposed to harness specific type of energy, because each of them has different type of clients. Yeah, this is really important. Actually, I wrote a lot of information about this in my journal, in Akashic Records, and God has shown me that proper individuals in law enforcement in different countries already have that information. So I'm proud of that work of investigation which I have done. But again, I say this is not something that we should be laughing about. This is organized crime on international level, and these are convents in different countries which work for them. There are many individuals around you who are part of convents, not so famous, not so high level, but still are part of convents, and those convents have agreements with this Epstein, Diddy, and other convents which are more famous because they are publicly known now. But otherwise, they work together for a long time until now. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that the law enforcement will find that information. Maybe not all of it will become public, but they will find it and they will act upon it. So again, this is a voodoo doll of energy which they create and they place upon you, binding it to your energy body. And in order to force upon you certain trauma which they created on those individuals. Now, what is this voodoo doll? Because I tried to understand, and this, to me, it seemed amazing. This voodoo doll is the subconscious, is the inner child. The subconscious and the inner child does not exist in an individual created by God. God did not create this. This is totally darkness work. Yeah, it's the result of all of these darkness embodiments on you and their continuous work throughout your entire childhood and adult life to force you to become whoever they decided you to be. This embodiment, yeah. The fact that you still have your own identity and you're only now discovering your subconscious and your inner child, that shows they did not succeed yet, or at least not fully. But you're healing something which they created. What they created is this voodoo doll of energy which they placed within you. This is the subconscious, which carries certain traumas which normally are not yours, certain fears, some of them, because it's been a long time, yeah, some of them succeed of affecting your own identity, yeah, to some extent. With time, if you don't fight for yourself and you don't cleanse energy and you don't heal yourself, of course, it will end up affecting you and transforming you into what they want. But if you fight for yourself, then you stand a chance to win, and to ascension means that you actually understand, and you heal and break the bondage and fight and integrate, so you can actually ascend. Yeah, this is important. Why is it important? I'm not sure that everybody feels the importance of this information. That to me, it's clear that this is extremely important information, because people, and I looked on Google, what's the public knowledge, what is the subconscious, how is the subconscious being created, and there's no information about it. And this is how it's being created. I have discovered in recent past, because I graduated and I finished breaking certain bondages, so I got to a point where certain information was revealed to me, that this is not part of you. This is something that has been created since young childhood. Remember that embodiments are created on you, even with the baptism, at a very early age. These people in this book of knowledge, where they have these roles and these identities, literally they do this through church, through religious practices, through baptism. The name they put on you in their book of knowledge presumes that you should become a certain spirit, or at least that spirit is binded to you and is feeding from you in order to feed certain individuals who they decide. So this is very important. It's been done upon you for a long time. So you need to understand how this came about, so you can actually fight it. So why is this important? It's important in order to understand your healing process. Because the first step in healing is to understand that this is not you. This is not yours. This is not you. This is something that is being imposed upon you through a number of practices which they have. So this is very important to understand, because in order to heal, you need to understand that it's not you. So for your healing process, it's important. Yeah. Then it's important so you understand that you had the wrong focus. This is for a little bit like my PhD thesis, like I explained before, but it's much more like our entire 3D life, because you understand at some point that we had the wrong focus, because we were in 3D and we didn't know, and we were precluded from understanding what is going on. For example, in my PhD thesis, I explained, I kept using as indicator for my research and analysis, policy making analysis, policy decisions, and I kept analyzing individual level of thinking and personality, to understand how they made that decision, why, what pushed them into that decision. But I didn't understand it was all of this information about spiritual fighting and the role spirituality and all these organizations and the power division among these organizations. And of course, that clearly showed me totally different indicators of analysis, much more important and much more to the point of what was going on. Although it seemed from policy making, it seemed to make no sense. Actually, they had a lot of sense, because they were seeking to gain certain things which were not obvious at policy making level. Yeah. So we have the wrong focus. I had, for example, in my job, the wrong focus. I thought I should do well. I should be a good expert and give perfect recommendations and arguments and create a case for certain files that I was managing, and for certain individuals in power positions who were supposed to make decisions. I didn't understand that actually they were all in these convents. And that was basically, I kept having these individuals with whom I worked, who were very high-level politicians, for example, and kept saying, you know, I was creating projects for them, and they all kept saying, you know, throughout time, I'm not interested to do the project. I'm just going to give the speech, but I'm not going to do the project. And I kept wondering why they don't want to do the project. Why? Because it's their own interest. Why they don't want to do the project? And finally, I understood, when I understood the spiritual dimension of it, I understood because they knew that this is just a facade. You know, everything that they're doing, the policy making and everything is just a facade, because they have all these convents where they actually, and masonry networks and all of this, where the division of power is decided, and all of it is just all that we live for, and all my professional ethic and all of this helped me stay safe. You know, I didn't make wrong decisions. I did not accept proposals which were breaking ethics and common sense of good deed. But I didn't understand, because I had the wrong focus. I didn't understand that they were the enemy. You know, so understanding how all of this plays, it's important, because you understand you know, what's the picture that we're playing in. And it's important also to understand, because you have people around you. Extremely important to understand this, because you have people around you who are doing this, and are doing this to you, are doing this in general to others as well, are doing a lot of harm. Yeah, and you don't understand. For example, you think maybe they were upset, maybe they were just, sometimes you just simply say, oh, maybe this one is just stupid, or maybe this one is just crazy. I don't care. I'm not wasting time with them. It's not my thing. I need to focus on my path. But then you need to understand how this plays, because then if you understand all this reality you understand that many of them were sent to you on purpose to do this harm to you. Somebody starts a fight with you, insults you, denigrates you, and slanders your name, and you think it's just somebody jealous and stupid. No, that person works for a convent, and it's sent to decredibilize you, so nobody would believe you when you come to say the truth, to trauma bond you, to make you feel shameful to speak up and to say the truth, or to stand up to ask for your rights, because they already sold your rights to somebody else. And some of them are sent to you to do this on purpose. Some of them are being recruited to do this. Some of them are just manipulated to do this. And this is important to understand, because for many reasons. First of all, because once you understand, you cut off, they feed on your energy. You cut off the string they create on you, so they cannot feed on you. So this is important. Your energy towards that person changes. You cut them off. But you cut them off understanding fully the harm they're doing on you. You claim justice, and that then it turns into your support, spiritually speaking. So this is important to understand. Then there will be a time when they will come to pretend like nothing happened. This was something that always shocked me, how these people who do harm on you, they will one day come and they behave like we are good friends. Why you're upset with me? And I'm like, is he crazy, or is he serious? Is she for real? Because I know what harm she's done on me. It's just I feel embarrassed for her to come and pretend like nothing happened. What do you mean? I know exactly what kind of insults you said to me. And this, before I understood all of this reality of spiritual fighting, I didn't pay attention to it. I was like, you know, just some stupid person. I don't pay attention to them. And that was a wrong decision, because then they keep the string on you. You know, once you don't claim justice and judgment on them. I have a neighbor. I have many neighbors around me doing this. And they will... but one of them in particular, because she's been doing this these days as well. There are two, but one of them in particular, even yesterday, I never spoke to this woman. Listen, so I have this house for 8 years now. I never spoke to this woman, never. I never went to her to say anything, because I'm a very private person, and in my work, from a very young age, I had managerial positions, and I worked in diplomacy in certain projects which forced me into engaging with very large number of people. Like I had, for example, to organize a NATO summit. That means thousands and thousands and thousands of people that you engage with. That means hundreds of people that you manage. You are responsible for what they do. If they do something wrong, you are responsible. So you have to have a certain level of focus and control of the situation. In such events, there's bound for things to go wrong. It's bound that certain individuals do stupid things or will not do what they're supposed to be doing. And a crisis can arise from nowhere. And you have to have the focus to react and solve the situation in such a way, because we're talking about diplomacy, so nobody can understand the negative impact of what happened, and you still pull it out in a positive way. And I am proud to say that I was extremely appreciated. I was highly, highly appreciated and in very high demand, because I was very good in doing my job. And because I was very good exactly at this, of crisis situation management. So I would be very good in creating projects, but I was exceptionally good in managing crisis situation in such a way so nobody would understand that that was a crisis and still come out in a successful way. Yeah. So anyhow, so you have to understand this. This is important. So because of having all of this life extremely busy and demanding on me, I always wanted my house. God keeps showing me to explain why I'm like this private. I used to work like when I was close to an event, even 24 hours a day. So there are like times when in a week I will sleep like 2-3 hours per total. I would go home, shower, change clothes, go back. Not even just lay in bed for a few minutes. So I worked a lot. And I had to engage with very large numbers of people. I had to be in staff meetings to prepare these events for like 5 hours a day. And sometimes many stupid things are being said in those meetings, and still you have to have the patience to come through, to finish and to come through with a result from that meeting, and so on. So it's been very hard and extremely demanding, yeah. And because of this, I created this practice for myself, whereby my home is my safe space. So I'm very protective of my space and of my home, because that was the only place where I could find peace, yeah. So I was never eager to have and engage with neighbors, because I had too much and too many people in my professional life, and my professional life required me also to be in a networking of reception type of engagement, and which is a socializing, but it's a professional socializing. But again, a reception requires you to engage with at least 500 people, and again, it's exhausting on your energy and so on. And so because of this, not because I hate people, God shows me that some people said lies about this. It's not because I hate people. It's just because throughout my life, this was my life. My professional life took over my own life, and it's been too much. So for this reason, I always have been extremely protective of my space at home. And I very seldom, even if I had like friendships, most of them were related to my professional networks, I would not invite people at home. I would just go to a restaurant and pay. Because my home was my private home. This was one thing. Another thing was that I was spiritual. And I would pray in my home, of course. And most of these people are not spiritual in my profession, my ex-professional network. So I did not want them in my space, to be honest. So I created it. So for this woman, I never spoke to her, which is not odd. I don't speak in general. I'm polite. I say hello. I say goodbye. But I'm not friendly. with my neighbors. I don't invite neighbors in my house. I don't do this because of these reasons. So I never said anything to her. I also don't want this. I don't like, because I've seen this, especially among women who now are friends and they gossip on another person. I don't like to gossip. I never gossiped. Then they break off, and then they go to the one about whom they were gossiping, and they gossip on the other one with whom she was friends before. This is just so stupid, crazy. And I've seen this from a very young age, and I said, I don't want this in my life. This is waste of time and energy. So I don't want this to happen. Okay, so I never spoke to this woman. However, she constantly, for years now, years from across the street at me, and listen to me, this is a woman who never had any kind of dialogue with me. She never approached me, because I'm not rude to people. If somebody comes and speaks to me politely and nicely, I will be polite to them. I am not going to come out of my way to invite them at my home or go to their home. But I am polite to people if they approach me. But she never approached me. She never tried to speak to me. I never tried to speak to her or to anybody in her family for that matter. Yeah. But for years now, she starts yelling from across the street from her own courtyard to my own courtyard. I am in my courtyard. She has a binocular that she uses to watch in my courtyard what I'm doing. I didn't even notice initially. God showed me. I was in shock. I mean, this is crazy. She fills me with a phone, and then she starts yelling at me all sorts of insults, that I am crazy, that I should go to the hospital of crazy people, that all sorts of insults, but she never spoke to me ever. And initially, I was thinking to myself, in the initial phase when I was starting the spiritual fighting, she's just crazy. I don't know what she wants. But I ignored her. And then God showed me gradually, she is part of the convent here in the area. And she is seeking to be you, to take your position in the convent, because she thought you came here and you bought this house in order to be in the convent. And because of this, she is denigrating you, and she works with the other neighbor next door to you in order to denigrate you, to make sure that you don't come, because if you come, they are afraid you will be their boss. And they said, of course I would be the boss. And second of all, I would not come in a convent. And third of all, if I would come in any type of organization, both of them should make sure to resign before I step in, because I kick them out for sure. But what I say is that this is important. You need to understand all of this information, because as you understand and you accept this truth, more is being revealed to you. Knowledge is power. If you have knowledge, then you step ahead. As you step ahead, more information is revealed to you. And you understand more about these people who are surrounding you. And again, some of them were sent specifically to harm you. Some of them were recruited, and God points to me about this woman. Some of them volunteered. She volunteered to do harm on me. So it's important, because a time comes when they want your forgiveness, and it's important to understand that you shouldn't forgive them, because they're doing harm to you and harm onto others. Yeah, and this is very important. All of this information is important, because most of us had the wrong focus, and we need to get the right focus, because you should not be planning for your reincarnation into this madness. You should get it right, and if you get it right at the right time, you stand a chance to integrate healing and breaking bondage, and to ascend. So you don't have to reincarnate in 3D, but you will be a presence here on earth, but you will be in a 5D dimension, 5 dimension. Yeah. So this is important to understand all of this information and all of these convents. Again, about these convents as well, you need to understand properly and not to look at them on TV as just a gossip thing and something that is happening somewhere far from you, because it's not. They are this woman, both women actually, but also this old crazy lunatic who keeps yelling this at me. She's doing it for a purpose, because she wants a certain position of leadership, and she figures if she can denigrate me and can slander my name and insult me and prevent me from proving the truth, then she can actually continue to do harm and to be promoted. Much the same like the neighbor next door, is they're working together actually. But these kind of local convents are in connection with these broadly known Epstein, Didi networks and so on and so forth. They are connected. Just so you will know, all these convents are connected, and the ritualic practices are being even coordinated, done simultaneously. So you need to understand all of this. I'm going to stop now because it's 30 minutes and I want to make sure that I upload this. Again, the initial focus of the two videos were about embodiments and how embodiments created by darkness create the voodoo doll of energy, which they bind to your energy body in order to transform you in whoever they want. This is what is the inner child and the subconscious, which you are trying to heal in order to ascend and to be yourself. Yeah, I'm gonna stop it here, and hopefully I said all of the information that I wanted to say. Hopefully I hinted and gave information on whatever God wanted me to say, and I'm just happy to be back. I hope that this will help you, and I will try to God says to me, you will post more systematically. So since God is saying that I will post more systematically, I will try to select information that is relevant to the moment and is relevant to your spiritual fighting. Yeah.